Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming another if you like this book, then you will also like this book recommendations type of video. I have filmed this video 2 times before, so I'll put the links in the description for both of the previous times that I've done this. I'm really excited about it, so let's go. Alright, so the first recommendation I have is if you like We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson, aka my favorite book of all time, then I think you will also like The Humans by Matt Haig. God, they even have similar like covers. These books are both contemporary coming-of-age stories that also involve aliens in some way. We Are the Ants is literally my favorite book of all time. It follows this boy named Henry who gets abducted by aliens, and they tell him that the world is coming to an end and that he has the power to stop it if he pushes this red button. But he doesn't know if the world is worth saving anymore because his boyfriend recently killed himself and he's just very depressed. And then this book goes from being the most depressing, realistic look at humanity into the most optimistic, hopeful thing I've ever read in my life. This book is kind of similar in that an alien comes to Earth in the body of a human, and he thinks that humanity is like the dumbest thing he's ever seen. Like, he thinks humans are so ridiculous, and he's very pessimistic in the same way that Henry is in the beginning of this book. And then he slowly develops an admiration for humanity throughout this book, and he just becomes a very optimistic person. And oh my god, you guys, it's just like, it's the same theme here of like this character looking at humanity with such disgust, you know, and then slowly turning into admiration. And I think I connected so much with these because I tend to look at humanity with so much disgust most of the time, you know, and so to have that perspective just turned completely is just amazing. And these books make me feel so much more hopeful about the world and humanity, and just, oh my god, I love them both so much. So if you like one, you'll definitely like the other. And also, The Humans is fucking hilarious. So if you want something like, this one's a lot more serious and depressing, this one is fucking hilarious. So the next one I have is like a little bit of a stretch, but if you like Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, then I think you would also like All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. These are obviously completely different genres. Okay, Birthday Girl is a romance and All the Beautiful Lies is a thriller, but if you like the forbidden, taboo relationship that Birthday Girl is centered on, then I think you would also like All the Beautiful Lies, just because this book features many taboo, huge age gap relationships. Birthday Girl follows this girl who starts having this like flirtationship with her boyfriend's dad. Just because of that reason alone, I think if you liked Birthday Girl because of the taboo relationship and you would like to see how that would play out in a thriller type of book, then I think you would like All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson, because this book has 2 or 3 really taboo age gap relationships. The next one I have is if you like The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo, then I think you would also like One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and vice versa. Both of these books have some of the best written love triangles. They're both romance novels, and they're both very hard-hitting, emotional, sad, this will make you cry romance novels that involve a love triangle in some way, and you don't really know which one you root for more. Especially this one, as far as the emotional part goes. Like, I sobbed at the end of this one. Like, it was bad. Yeah, both of these books, I think the main similarity between them though is that they do have a very well written love triangle, which I think is very hard to come by. So if you're looking for something that'll make your heart like tug so hard because you're just looking for that good love triangle, then both of these definitely have that. Alright, the next one I have for you is if you like Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino, then I think you would also like Blind Kiss by Renee Carlino. Yeah, it's by the same author, so like, of course I would. But like, these books feel very similar to me for some reason. These books are romances, and the couples in these books both meet in college, and then there's like a story happening 15 years later, and then it's like jumping back and forth between when they met in college 15 years ago and to now 15 years later, and it's like a reconnection story in both of these. So I think if you liked that about Before We Were Strangers, then I think you would definitely enjoy Blind Kiss as well. Maybe not as much, like I still definitely think this one is the superior book out of these two. The next one I have is if you liked The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, then I think you would also like Illegal Contact. And the main reason is because these are both football sports romances that follow an NFL player and his personal assistant, and it's like a romance between them. And so in The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, it follows Aiden Graves, who's a Canadian vegan NFL player, and then his personal assistant of over 2 years, Vanessa. And this is like literally one of my favorite romances of all time now. It's just so so cute, so good, and it's like a hate to love romance. It's a slow burn romance. And then Illegal Contact is actually a male-male romance, and it's between the NFL player Gavin and then his personal assistant Noah that he hires. The same idea, it's like another hate to love, slow burn romance, but if you're looking for either the male-female version of this story or the male-male version of this story, these are both great. So the next one I have is if you like A Million Junes by Emily Henry, I think you would also like The Astonishing Color of After by Emily R.X. Pan. And both of these authors have the same first name. I just realized that. They're really fucking similar. These books are both young adult, magical realism, like contemporary books with a touch of fantasy. These young girls talking to their parents in the afterlife in some way. So like in A Million Junes, her dad died recently and it's like taken a huge toll on her life. Like she was so close to her dad, so grief is definitely a main focus of both of these books as well. But in this book it really centers on this father-daughter relationship. In The Astonishing Color of After, this one really focuses on the mother-daughter relationship instead, and it's about this young girl who her mom has killed herself recently, and then she thinks that her mom comes back as a bird, and she keeps seeing this bird coming back into her life and she thinks that that's her mom. These are just both two very emotionally powerful stories. I mean, this one obviously revolves around the father-daughter and this one revolves around the mother-daughter, but I can relate to both, clearly. I found both of these to be very emotionally powerful and some of the best young adult books that I've ever read. The next one I have is if you liked The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, then I think you would also like Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Mostly because these are both romances that are light and fluffy and fun and not very emotional or like hard-hitting and like in the feels, you know, they're just really cute. This one is a lot more like diverse in my opinion. I mean, they are both diverse, don't get me wrong, because this one follows a female lead with Asperger's, and then her love interest is Vietnamese and Swedish. And then in Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, Josh is Korean. There definitely is some diversity in both of these, but I definitely think this one is a lot more unique with its diversity, at least for me. But they're both such adorable romances, and I think if you like one, you would definitely also enjoy the other. The next one I have for you is if you liked The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, I think you would also like The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. Both take place in Alaska, and because they're both very hard-hitting emotional family stories. So this one is more considered historical fiction and this one is more considered new adult romance. So it kind of depends on the vibes you're going for as far as these things go, but The Great Alone follows this girl named Lenny who's only 13, and it takes place in the 1970s when her family moves to Alaska because her dad is suffering from some really bad PTSD from the Vietnam War, and so they move to Alaska so he can finally have some peace and quiet, and then things don't really go as planned for their family, and it's a very emotional, heavy family story. Simple Wild, it follows this girl named Kala who moved away from Alaska when she was 2 with her mom because her parents were separating, and she moved to Toronto to be with her mom, and now she's in her 20s and she hears news that her dad, who still lives in Alaska, is dying of cancer, and so she wants to go back to Alaska to be with her dad in his potential final few months of life. Her dad is this pilot that runs this huge Alaska airplane company. While she's there, she meets one of the other pilots named Jonah, who's kind of a hothead, and then it also is this romance, like a hate to love romance between her and Jonah, as well as the father and daughter story. So, I mean, if you like the Alaskan atmosphere though, then I think you would definitely appreciate both books. Next one I have to recommend for you, if you like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think you might also like The Book of Essie by Megan McLean Weir. And the main reason for this is because these main characters are both celebrities in their own sense, and they deal with the media and some scandal in some way. So that's like the only reason I think that these two are really similar. This one follows an actress in the 1950s story of like her 7 marriages and all of the scandal she's ever experienced in the media and kind of the story behind what actually happened. And then in this one, it's like, it follows this young 17-year-old girl named Essie who's on this reality TV show with her very religious family, and then she gets pregnant when she's 17, and then it's about her family having to deal with the scandal that gets in the media because of it. Definitely do think though that The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is the superior book out of these two. I mean, this is like literally one of my favorite books of all time, but I think if you like the aspect of the media in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, if you like the way that she has to deal with all the scandalous things that the media is saying about her, and like the fact that she's a celebrity, then I think you might also like the Book of Essie for the same reasons like I did. Okay, and the last one that I have for you is if you like Bird Box by Josh Malerman, then I think you would also like The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. And the main reason for this is that these are both thrillers, but they're also horror novels that take place in an apocalyptic world in some way. Bird Box takes place in a world where these people don't really know what caused the apocalypse. They just know that you can't look at it or else you're gonna go like batshit insane and start killing either yourself or people around you. And so they wear blindfolds in order to protect themselves. This is a really creepy horror novel that makes you feel like you're blindfolded as a reader, and it just takes place in this very creepy apocalyptic world. This one follows this gay couple named Eric and Andrew, and then it's their adopted daughter Wen. And then they're staying in their cabin when all of a sudden these 4 people start to try to break into their house. Like, it's like a home invasion story, and these 4 people are telling them, you have to commit this horrible act in order to save the world. Like, the world is going to come to an end as we know it if you don't do this thing. Very creepy, very terrifying. Like, this book gave me the most anxiety I've ever felt while reading a book. Like, it's just so intense, and I think if you like these like creepy, intense books that give you so much anxiety when you're reading them, then I think you would like either one of these. Like, these are kind of different, but they're also very similar. Those are all my recommendations today for if you like this book, you will also like this book. And once again, I just think these videos are so much fun to do. I love the style of recommendations. I just think it's really fun to recommend things that are similar. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you agree that they're similar, or if you think there are other books that you can recommend to me that are similar to the ones that I just said, or if you are encouraged to read one of these books that are similar to one of your favorites potentially just because of this, because that would be really cool. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye.